Well, I've never told anybody this, but the other day I was standing in line at a Boston chicken joint. The line was right behind me, and it was a whole big line, and I waited to pay, and a big black guy walks up to me. He says, "How are you?" And I didn't, I was alone. I didn't know. Right. He said, "Don't you remember me?" I said, "No." He says, "Well, I worked on your roof. I worked on your roofing." It's a big black guy. I said, "Well, I don't remember you." He says, "I remember you." He says, "I got to borrow $24 from you in this line." And I didn't know what to say to him. I had my wallet in my hand. And I said, "Well, what do you need it for?" He says, "I got trouble with my car out there. There's a guy waiting for me to pay." I said, "Go away." I said, "I'm not lending you any money." He said, "I'll give it back to you in 20 minutes. I said, no. And everybody's standing behind me, and nobody says anything. So I'm standing there with $22 in my hand. And I said, "Get away from me." He says, "I told you $42.
You gave him 22?
I gave him 42. I didn't know what to do. I was going to call the cops, And I'm right in the middle of it. I figure, what the hell am I going to get involved in this kind of thing, and wind up in a police station. I gave him the $42, and I thought to myself, "Well, you are a schmuck. Giving a guy $42 you never saw before." I didn't want to get into a hassle with him in a crowded restaurant, because I knew if they called the cops, I was going to be in the police station with them.
I grew up in New York. Ever since I was a kid, I lived in mid-Manhattan. Never was robbed, never was mugged, never even threatened. I came to Boca and I'm mugged, and they stole my Rolex watch. When the cops came, they were interviewing me. So he said to me, he had a gun. I said, "Yeah, I put it to my head." He says, "What kind of gun?" I said, "I don't know. I thought it was a 75 millimeter howitzer."